Alright, hello and welcome to the postgrad year. Today we're going to be talking about the Commonplace book, which is a binder. We're going to be looking at ideas. Also, yeah, I did kind of just slice myself a little bit. So I guess it's not just a bright idea, but a sharp idea as well. So now we got a page to the ideas section. Not sure if you can see the page in the way. And we're going to go to the last page of that section, which is a full page of text. So, it's a lot. And unfortunately, it's a lot lighter than normal because the pencil I was using was just lighter, which was really annoying. Anyways, trying to figure out how to hold this. Okay, we can just hold it like this right now, but I think it's going to shake around a little bit. So, ideas even more 4. That means it's the 4th page of ideas. And yeah, that's probably a little weird. Sorry. That's just the way it's set up. So hopefully that won't be a problem with titles. Anyways, if you really want to glance ahead and see what this is before I talk about it, you can pause if you really want to. So we've got some things on the left, like to do a video tag, stuff like that. That is what they are about. So let's get to the first one. To do, mark all the videos before Commonplace book as pre-channel focus and change intro video title. So I've actually already changed the video title from, it was like a potential fix for education or something like that. It's a little bit grand. Definitely didn't totally talk about that. I mean, I talked about a 5th year of high school and I'm making a channel. That's about it. So that's a little clickbaity. And that's done now. So that's good. But I still have a few videos before, you know, I started making the Commonplace book videos. And so, like, I kind of want to mark those as something else. Maybe, like, pre-channel focus. Because I want to talk about education, but I don't really want to talk about education right now. Because nobody really cares. At least not the way I was talking about it. And, you know, I might need to show it. Rather than just talk about it. So, for now, we're going to be doing Commonplace book stuff. And that will be, you know, probably at least 100 videos. For videos, I prefer not to explain what a Commonplace book is, but we can do that if you really want to. And it seems like most people, the same 80,000 people, are looking at basically everything about this and trying to soak up everything one channel to the next. Yeah, like, it seems like people are just jumping around. And, you know, like 80,000, 87,000, I don't know. I don't know the exact numbers because I haven't done an in-depth analysis of the data. And I also haven't really collected the data. But based on what I've been seeing from channels that don't really do Commonplace book videos, seems to be somewhere around there. I mean, I assume it's between 5,000 and 500,000, but that's not really helpful. So, I hope some people watch the stuff. I think they will. And some people are already giving me Discord messages. That's fun. So, as they feel I am taking too long, we should get through this. So, as a tag, under ideas, I feel like maybe, well, I guess ideas should also be a tag, but unorthodox was listed here. And yeah, this is not exactly the most standard way of constructing a Commonplace book. Normally people have a notebook. Can't really grab it now that I'm holding this, but pretty sure you know what a notebook looks like. And if they don't have one of those, they normally have a digital thing. And then they'll call it a Commonplace book, but that's kind of something else. Sorry, there's like something in my eye right now. Which is nothing. That's fine. Now we've got another thing, which is to do. Fixed channel description. The vibes of one video. The vibes of one are used to create the next. Yeah, I don't know about that. That's a little weird. So for another video, we've got start adding pages that someone might actually have in a Commonplace book supplied by the school, like full periodic table, timeline of history, mathematical equations, like 1 times 1 to 12 times 12. I think I have a children's story that's like... Yeah, okay. Something sort of like this might be kind of useful. Oh no, that's gonna be the thumbnail. Crap. Okay, Sorry, that probably killed the audio, but I feel like that's going to be the thumbnail just because of how YouTube works with thumbnails. Yeah, so it might have formulas, calculator instructions. So if we have one for each grade level group, we'll have one for nursery. Basically everything before first grade. Lower, that's elementary school, but I'm using more of a German system to write things down right now. So we have lower, which is like 1 through 5, middle, 6 through 8, upper, which is like high school. So that's 9 through 12, and then post. So like post-grad year. So that would be anything after, but if we expand the post-grad year the way that the pre-Commonplace book videos are suggesting of mine, that means we add them on as an additional year, and as a larger and larger percentage of the population starts actually taking them, you know, we can say like 1% of students who are in high school, or 1% of the students in the postgrad year can be made up of high school students. And we can increase that over time, and for specific levels, you know, like people going to college are probably going to get more people early on rather than people going into the military, just because we probably don't want to have a system that focuses on creating child soldiers. That would be kind of bad. Yeah, so we have one thing left, and it is huge. Look at that giant blob of text. So, how can it take away... Oh, about how it can take away the magic as thought becomes procedure. Yeah, so... That's a really awkward one. So, you've probably had the experience where you'll come up with a new idea, and it's like, whoa! That was great! And sometimes you just thought of something in the shower, or before you went to sleep, and you're like, oh, I gotta think about that when I get out of here, or write it down. And it's like, orange is orange. And it's like, pretty dumb. And then maybe the next time you'll be like, well, maybe I could write about orange groves in Florida and how they're affected by a specific disease. It's like, okay, you had more thoughts. And then maybe the next time it'd be like, where the disease comes from. Except that's not really how it works. Sometimes, like, if people don't write things down, they'll just keep coming up with the same idea. Like, oh, I could think about oranges in Florida. That would be cool. And they'll think about it, and it'll be fun, and it'll be engaging, and they're the only one that's thinking about it, so they might talk about it with somebody else. And if they talk about it with somebody else, they'll probably, you know, just do some surface level stuff, and that's okay. That's fun. I mean, that's kind of what people have done, like, forever. But if you have one of these, it's a little different, because if someone has one of these, they might actually upgrade their thought every single time. They'll just add one more thought, like, what if I talked about Brazil? What if I talked about bugs? What if I talked about public policy or phosphorus? Or, you know, they'll just keep adding things, and eventually it's like an entire essay, you know? Whereas the first person is just like, Florida oranges, man, I can taste when the orange juice tastes different when it's in Florida or Brazil. How about that? That's pretty weird. And then nothing else happens. But we're on the first line, so we got to keep going. The thought becomes procedure, and as thinking is mechanical, it doesn't feel very organic. Or at least it makes organic thoughts from others feel wildly predictable, boring, and uninspired, as they are all the same thing. That's not really what it said there, but yeah, it's just the sameness is so frustrating, because people will be like, oh my god, do you want to talk about oranges in Florida? And it's like, okay, are we just going to be like, did you know that orange juice sometimes tastes different if it's from different places? It's like, yeah, I know. And it's just kind of frustrating, because someone who writes it down can see where the ideas came from, and it's like, you got the starting point, now what? Yes, and? What's next? And they just don't do it. And it's not because the person's dumb or because they forgot. It's just, if you don't write things down, it's a lot harder to remember, you know, like 2,000 pending projects. Because it's like, was I working on that? You know, when we talked about this, we were talking about oranges in Florida. It's just like, we get it. We get it. You kind of, yeah. All right. Yeah, so the book actually does all the heavy lifting, which is quite nice. And this says, and only 10% of their brain can focus on actually thinking something out. Yeah, so if someone's like super smart and they're thinking about this sort of thing and they don't write stuff down, well, they can probably come up with interesting ideas. But the thing is, if they're, one of the top 10 smartest people, or even above that, I mean, it's kind of weird to talk about intelligence as like levels when it's more so about different things, but someone has to be so many levels of intelligence above another person to get by without writing things down. Like, you just, at a certain point, it just gets kind of ridiculous. Yeah, so people who have more raw mental power actually end up losing, because if 5 versions of me write in depth about something, a person has to be at least twice as smart or have a system of their own in order to make good points. It's really difficult to take other people seriously when your writing is your greatest hits and always feels to you as if it is more thought out. Yeah, that's kind of the problem with something like this. It's like getting really good at a video game, or really any game. Who do you play with? If you get above like 1,000 rating in chess, that's cool. You're slightly better than a beginner. If you get above 2,000, no one's going to play with you. That's like, someone who can start making money. And, if you're at like 1,500, that's pretty cool. That's better than pretty much everybody from high school. But again, who's really going to want to play? Like, do you want to sit there for like 30 minutes with each person having a timer for 30 minutes? So you're actually there for an hour, and you like think really hard, and you think so hard you can actually feel your body like temperature rise, and you might be sweating, and it's really mentally taxing. Do you really want to do that like every time, or do you just want to play a board game with somebody? And that's one reason this sort of thing can be really frustrating, because it's like, who can I engage with on an intellectual level? It gets really challenging. So what you can do is play with a bunch of different things. For example, if you are, I don't know, really bored, and you're like, I want to talk to somebody, you could talk to someone who's learning English, for example. You can talk to somebody from Brazil or Indonesia or Canada. Sometimes there are Canadians who are learning English because they're from like Quebec. That's always fun. Personally, they were a little toxic when I played League of Legends with them, but that was because I speak English and they're trying to speak French, because when they're at work or in school, everybody's just trying to speak English, and they're like, no, we're in Quebec, this is Quebec, we speak French, or at least we're trying to, and it's like preservation of culture, so it feels a little weird when somebody from the regional superpower, who's actually also the global superpower, is trying to enforce their language, or at least that's probably what it feels like. So can't really be too hard on them. Kind of forget what the point was. Right, if you dabble in a bunch of different areas, then you can talk to a bunch of different people at like a low level, and then slowly build the expertise over time, which is quite fun. It's a way to talk about more things with people. It might be like, tell me what it was like growing up the way you did, or what are your opinions about mushrooms? What type of mushrooms do you like? And it can be super random. It just gets really old really quickly, talking to people about sensitive subjects. Because if you have, for example, a conversation about politics with someone, and one person has data and has looked at maps and the other person hasn't, even if you agree on everything, it's going to be super awkward. And so just be a little careful, like what you're learning about, and who you're going to talk to about it. Where do we go? Oh yeah, it's your greatest hits. Like, it's whatever you find the most interesting. So the thing is, this is not a computer. This is not an AI model. This is not verified and fact-checked by other people. So sometimes the information you write down will be wrong. But because you're the one writing it down over and over again, you're just magnifying whatever your opinion is. So sometimes you'll be wrong, and if you didn't verify anything, you're going to be super wrong, which is a huge problem. Yeah, so the dark side of the Commonplace book is that we risk seeing and then treating others as below average at best. The new ideas are a pattern recognition of our own ideas. Yeah. So if we're thinking the same thing over and over again, we're going to write it down. If we're seeing the same thing over and over again, we're going to write it down. So like even if we are totally off base, it's what we think and feel every single day. Or at least monthly or yearly. And if we have the same opinion for so long, it feels really weird and alien when someone doesn't have that same opinion. Because it's not that they're like, we're just saying it. We have records. We know what we thought, and we thought it the whole time. So it's not just like proving someone wrong about something. It's kind of like disproving their entire life, which is a much bigger attack, and that's... You get it. All right. Well, we've been here a long time. My voice is starting to go. The monitor's turning on and off. I got messages. So there will be another one of these coming up next in terms of like the idea pages. Let me know in the comments if you think I'm doing too many of these. There will be more to come because I'm doing a set of 7. And yeah, that's going to be 4 through 10. So no spoilers, but you know, that's a pretty big spoiler. So I hope you like them. And yeah, this is like the longest outro ever. Okay, bye.